Okay.
What? Good morning. Good morning, Sunday. Good morning, lovely people, and good morning to you too. All right, Sunday, fun day underway. To get started today, we're going to come to the front part of our mat. We're going to take a big stroll all the way up there. We're going to bring our feet, well, that camera's lined really nicely, and with the feet hip width apart, toes hanging straight forward. And then we're going to take our heels and step them out ever so slightly. We're going to bring some straightness to the legs. And as we begin to draw in our belly, I'm going to ask you to make little fists of those hands of yours and rotate the thumbs to open away from the center line of your body. You're going to pull the elbows back and you're going to give yourself a little love. I'd like you to squeeze yourself, your rib cage with the upper arm. While you hold on that, we're going to begin to pull our thumbs backwards and then use the base of the hand to pull together, bring the baby fingers together, and we're just spiraling in and out with our forearms. Boy, this is really taxing.
It is for me.
A big sweat going on here. Remember, we're just warming up, and as we get our body acclimated with the exercises, we're going to be preparing to work the body today. All right, let's hold it out. Extend out the arms, open up those hands into palms, facing up to the sky. Take a big inhale and reach tall. Let the fingers do the walking here and just pulling everything skyward. And as you release your next breath, flip those palms in, bring those arms down, and palm now connects to the thighs as we draw the shoulders up. I'd like you to pull the shoulder blades back and in towards the center line, and then put a slight bend in your elbow to simply slide your palms up onto your hips. I'm going to keep the elbows pulling together as we draw the hips backwards. Try not to bend through the knees, but hinging like we chopped just through the hips, and begin to lower and raise the upper body. Try to keep the spine neutral, so avoid flexion and extension. Keep the neck long, like there's an imaginary string pulling at. And let's do a couple more repetitions and see if you can increase the depth a little bit. Slowly up and down. As you inhale up and rise and pull, serve those hands out. Now, I'm going to bring it back to something we're familiar with. I'm going to bring the fingers together, forearms together, and the sides of the hands also. We're going to take our thumbs, we're going to open them downward, and we're going to serve out. I know this is a little bit of, oh, what's going on here with my body? As we serve out the hands a little more, I'd like you to draw the hips backwards, and then bring palm to palm, and then hand over heart. Now, yeah, Kirsten's loving this all of a sudden. As we hold on this now, I'd like you to separate your fingers widely and rotate them inwardly so that the tips, or one of them or two of them, whatever it is connected to your chest plate. Now we're going to raise the elbows high, and then we're going to send the butt downward. So as we begin to squat, I'd like you to keep the spine neutral. I'd like you to keep stable through your belly. So I'd like you to pull your belly button in towards the spine. Now let's hold it down, raise the elbows a little more, stand up, and relax the elbows just a little bit. Lower down, elbows raise, stand it back up, and do it a couple more times. Try to keep those fingers rotating internally. You might feel a little bit of the middle or upper back working a little harder when we raise the elbows. That's fine. That's what we're looking for, actually. And shoot those hands up in the sky. Big breath in, powerful exhale, hold it down. When your fingertips arrive upon your mat or earth, inhale, extend to a flat back. Keep the back in extension, straighten out those legs, and drift that booty backwards. On your next exhale, let the upper body flex. Inhale, extend. Exhale, flex. And continue this for a few more repetitions. On the next repetition, keep the back in extension And draw that booty backwards. Keep the weight prevalent to the heels as you walk your fingertips forward. Take a big inhale. And on the exhale, let the upper body relax. Bring hand to opposite elbow. Try to straighten those legs just a little bit more and begin to float forward and backward on your feet. Notice how the pressure changes as the body moves forward and backwards. The foot feeling a different sensation of weight bearing. And I'd like you to find a balance between the front and back of the foot. And when you get it, I'd like you to step your palms onto your shins. As you inhale now, extend to a flat back. So the back is now in tabletop position. Keep the back and the neck in extension. You're kind of growing that whole structure as you bend the knees and lower your butt. Try to keep the weight bearing equal in the feet. Push your palms into the shin. Expand the spine. Crowd out the chest. Now keep your hips down, but we're going to unhinge through them to raise the shoulders so that the hands kind of slide up over the kneecaps. And when they arrive there, extend the arms forward. As you inhale, raise them above eye level. As you exhale, lower them, sweep them back, open up the thumbs. So the palms are basically rotating internally as you come forward and up, and externally as you sweep backwards. Keep the chest proud. Let's do this for another couple repetitions. Now we're going to sweep forward, stand up, hands remain shoulder height, and then we're going to squat down and open. And stand and lower for a few more repetitions. This feels more like exercise than warming up, Sean. Well, it's kind of a bit of both. All right, stand tall, sweep your hands to the sky. Big inhale. Exhale, bring hands down over heart. Take the right foot, step it backwards. Right type of separation for good balance and stability. You're up on your toes with that back foot, and heel is pointing to the sky. Nice. Now, take your left leg, straighten it. Take the ball of that big toe, drive it to the mat, and imagine I chop you through that left hip, fold in. Now, we're still warming, so don't go to depths that your body isn't ready for. I'm going to take that right heel and drive it down towards the earth. I'm going to hold on this as we establish balance. And then we're going to slowly push back up onto the toes. And then we're going to drive back down and raise back up. And we're going to kind of continue this pistoning type action for a few more repetitions. Now, you can add intensity by pushing with that front leg as you drive the heel back and resisting that push of the front leg to kind of get a little intensification, a little more muscle use required. Now, hold up under the toes, extend the arms forward, and as you drive the heel down, raise the arms, and then return them back to their start position as you pump back up. And do this for a couple more reps. Again, you can add intensification by pushing with the front to create more activation with that calf or gastroc. Neat. Now, stand it up, hands over heart, switch up sides. Get a little bit of burning in that left cheek, perfect. Now, same setup, opposite side, chopping it in, keeping it long, keeping it real as we start that left heel descent to the earth. Sometimes we'll get all the way down. Sometimes, if you adjust your stride a little bit forward to back, it enables you to achieve that. Try to find the right distance where you can kind of get the heel touching to the mat. Get a nice optimal stretch through that calf muscle. And it's a slow up and down.
We're gonna add in, the progression here is using the front leg to push backwards to intensify the work in that calf. And then the next level is extending the arms forward. Do this for a couple repetitions. And then Kirsten's already demonstrating coming up with the arms, lowering them to start, and up and down for a few more repetitions. And as you stand tall, drift those hands back over heart and take a deep breath. Would that strengthen us? Probably not, no. All right, now, while we have hands over heart, I'd like you to take your heels out to the edges of the mat. Toes have spun out to the 45-degree angle, and we're beginning to sumo down. So let the knees push forward towards that toe box, and then let the hips descend, range of motion on the down. You can't get any taller than you already are, but the depth here is on the ability to explore it as you raise and lower your body up and down. Now, our bones and muscles are a complex lever system. So that said, I'd like you to try to lever with the muscle action as such. When you rise, I'd like you to take the ball of each big toe, push it into the mat, and push back up. That's going to give you more of a quadricep type of focus. So keep that for a couple repetitions. Slowly up and slowly down still. And then now, from the down position, try to push with the heel a little more, relaxing that ball of big toe. And that's more posterior oriented push. So we're levering with slightly different muscle activation, depending on what part of the foot is we're pushing from. And this is good for posterior chain development. Remember, you sit on those muscles most of the day. So it's important to keep them strong. All right, stand it up, step the feet face forward. Hands are still over heart. Take the palms, push them together, rotate the thumbs, and raise the elbows. Hold in this for a couple seconds. Now, while you hold here, I'd like you to rotate internally, and then I'd like you to extend. And you notice how I have a slight forward lean. I'm going to ask you to hold that for a couple of repetitions. Try to make the movement happen just through the spinal column. You might feel a little bit of relief in the lower back as we go into flexion, which is really lengthening some of those muscles we've been working today. All right, hold it up, elbows high. Take the hips now and begin to push them forward. As the hips push forward, I'd like you to take the ball of each big toe and drive it into your mat. Big breath in. As you exhale, hands go to the sky. Big breath in, and as you exhale, fold it down. Step it back into plank. You don't want to do push-ups? All right. We had a little thing about push-ups this morning. Nice. Now, let's start this by taking the knees, keeping the toes tucked under, and bringing the knees down to the mat. Before we get into pushing up and down, I'd like you to kind of get the chest and the torso in particular set. So take your elbows, spiral them inwardly, and let the torso kind of drop in between the arms. You can kind of get a gauge, hopefully you can, of where your body feels relative to your shoulders right now. And if your head's fallen off your body, make that neck long, keep the chest proud, and keep the torso kind of right in that sweet spot. Now, on knees, we're going to start. We're going to kind of keep the shoulder positioning as is, but we're going to bend the elbows, let the upper body lower towards the earth. And then push back up. And I'm going to hold in this. Now we're going to add in a little nuance here. So chest and torso dropped in between the arms, elbows spiraled inwardly, belly button, I'm going to pull it up and into the spine. Hold all that, let those elbows bend as you descend. So notice I didn't say anything else changes. Now, keep the belly button putting in, and that nice orientation, chest and torso in between arms. Keep those elbows spiraling inward, lower back down, hold. Push back up, adding in progression, off the knees if you can, on the knees if you still need. Lower down, raise back up, and oh, what the heck, let's do it one more time. Oh, now pull your hips up and back to down dog. Drive those heels of yours to the earth. Load it back to plank and put your knees down onto all fours. Let's separate knees and feet out to the edges of the mat with toes tucked. Hands are hopefully already out there. We're going to take your left hand and bring it onto your right shoulder. Nice. Now, you're going to take your left elbow and left shoulder and raise it to the sky. And then lower back down. And then we're going to take the elbow, left elbow towards the right elbow, and then sweep all the way back up. And continue on this motion. As you do, checking in with your upper body. If you are translating to the left or to the right, try to keep the spinal column in its spot. We're just rotating upon it without moving everything to one side or the other. When you open up, try to lift up with the elbow also. All right, let's take the left down over to the right side and begin to open and turn in. I'm going to do a lot of reps with this. This is kind of very important spinal work. These are working your spinal rotators, which are very small muscles, but keep the spinal column stable when you do rotation. You may feel this at different points through your spinal column, but definitely you might feel your obliques or side body muscles, and maybe even into the lower back. This is all good stuff. Hold it up, return it back down, back onto all fours. Take your knees, float them up off the earth, and then pull your hips upward. And as you drive your heels earthward, walk your hands back to them. Inhale, extend into a flat back. Exhale, fold. Pilates style. Bring it up, stack them. Sweep those arms up to salute the sun. Good morning, sun. How are you? Pull with the fingers high to the sky. And the next breath is release it, lower the arms down, take your right foot, step it outwards and on the side of the mat. We just change the orientation of our bodies, nice and wide with the feet, nice and straight with the legs. And then let's take our hands on hips. I'm just going to step so I'm not on a hot spot. And I'm going to keep chest proud. To do so, I'm going to help by doing two things. I'm going to push the chest forward. I'm going to squeeze the elbows together in the back. I'm going to make sure my neck is compression free. With my legs straight, I'm going to begin to chop through the hips and tabletop my back. And when I get there, I'm just going to hold for a couple breaths. So much like we did earlier, floating forward and backward. Find the balance and then hold the balance. Nice. Now, take the right arm, reach it straight out. Take the left arm
Straight to the side.
straight out to the side. Crowd your chest. Rotate the thumbs up skyward. Draw the thumbs to the sky. Use the fingers to pull your arms off the center line of the body. Keep the weight equal in that foot, left and right. Now, with the arms remaining in position, I'd like you to lower your right shoulder and raise your left, and then oscillate side to side. When I say oscillate, I mean it's a rotational exercise. We're not translating. More weight isn't shifting to one leg or the other as we rotate the spinal column. We're kind of locked down through that. This is a little more challenging than the exercise that we do, which is called windmill, because it's kind of like a double windmill. All right, flatten out the back, arms straight up to the side, palms facing the earth. We're going to unhinge and come all the way up and sweep our arms to the sky. And drop hands over heart, step back. Step those legs together and come back facing forward. I got to see your beautiful faces. And now we have this nice orientation, middle part of the mat, feet out to the edges, heels out to the sides. Now, before we had the toes off the edges of the mat, take your heels off the edge of the mat. Toes are on the mat. We're going to make the legs nice and straight. We're going to take the right hip. We're going to start to push it to the right side. And then shift it over to the left. This is a nice side body lengthening exercise. As you move from side to side, try to keep your spinal column straight. So we have more pull on these side body hip muscles. And now find a balance between the two. Try to imagine now you're pulling both legs into the center line. So that inner thigh activation. Keep it real as you draw that booty back and pull halfway forward. Trembling through those muscles, very good. Rise back up. Legs squeeze together through the whole range of motion. Explore today the downward range. How low can you go? All right, now hold in the up position. Take those heels now and try to push them off the center line. So not externally rotating, just a push directly out to the side. Hold on that push and resume the exercise. So we've gone from internal to external activation. So the medial muscles not in play anymore. The lateral or outside muscles working now more so as we find strength and length through this exercise. All right, let's stand it up, shake it out. Ah, nice. We're not done. Don't get me all, we're all done. Look, no, we're not. All right, I'm gonna come up to the front part of the mat. I'm gonna bring my feet out to the sides, edges, sorry. I'm gonna be nice and tall for the chest. And I'm gonna take the elbows backwards. I'm gonna bring a little bit of cupping, like I'm holding two grapefruits in my hands. So as I draw back the elbows, I'm gonna squeeze them together. To make sure my neck is relaxed. Is it? Yeah, it's relaxed. Yours too, right? Good. All right, so we're going to draw back, squeeze together, and then keeping the hands cupped, I'd like you to open up the forearms and close them back in. And open and close. And see again about the extreme edges. Moving out is more of a challenge than moving in. Inward always feels great. That's what we practice pretty much all day long, right? Inward rotation, folding in, crouching in. So let's take a little bit of time to experience outward rotation and try to explore the range of motion with this exercise. Outward rotation. Now hold it out. Enjoy this as you draw the hips backwards. Keep the legs straight. Find the ball of each big toe pushing into the mat. Find your belly button pulling into the spinal column. As you take your next breath in, sweep those arms forward. We still have that cupping as we bring hips together and spiral your elbows towards the earth. We have arms extended all the way out. So there's no bend in the elbow. Make those arms long, longer if you can. Now, holding on this, keeping the heels rotating off the center line. Rotational exercise again. Sweep shoulder carriage right, and then center and left. try to minimize floating, right? It's all spinal column exercise. We're working these rotators a lot today. You may feel fatigue on each exercise we do, a little faster. Take a break if you need to. Keep going if you can. Back center. Bring hands back over heart. Step your feet underneath your hips. Feel natural, nice steady space for you to be in. Straighten the legs. On your next breath, as you exhale, salute the sun. Fill the lungs. On your next breath, exhale, fold it and take it down to the mat. Good morning, everybody. Warmed up, we're underway with exercise. Everything's so good. Cheers to everybody. Okay. And come all the way down onto your mat slowly. On our backs. I'd like you to take the right foot, post the heel close to your butt. Let that right leg extend straight out.
The left.
Left leg, sorry, left leg. You're on your right foot. All right, so the ball of that right big toe, push it into the mat. Let's take your left leg and lift it an inch or two off the floor, just a nominal amount. I have my hands kind of over my belly, and I'm going to ask you to kind of rock your pelvic girdle. So I'm going to try to get the low back connected. So that's the pelvic or the pubis kind of pulling it up and inward, or big activation, if you will, in that transverse abdominis, drawing the belly into your spinal column. So last week we talked about how we can feel the activation of our transverse abdominis, and you can feel it when you cough. So let's lower the leg, cough, feel those muscles, activate them, try to get messaging to them to keep them active as you raise that left leg again. And then keep that pelvic rocking. Keep the belly button pulling into the spine. Now, move the left leg off the center line. Try not to raise the heel or lower it. It's just a simple toes pointing towards the sky, leg opening up, and then sweeping back in. See if you can touch your right leg with your left, and then open that left leg back out again. Now we're going to do what everyone loves to do. Is go back to old habits as you go out, come up, arc it, and tap, lower down a couple inches off the earth, and open back up. Try to make sure your right leg isn't going in and out with everything. It's just remaining in its spot. As we articulate the hip on the left side, one more time, and then finally take the left foot, drop it beside the right. You got the left foot on the earth as the right leg now extends out. So same thing, pelvic rocking. Get it in, get that TVA engaged, transverse abdominis, and lift that right leg. We're going to hold on it. Let's begin the exercise. Toes aiming at the sky, right leg opens. Everything else remains the same. Slowly out, slowly in. Now from side to side, you might feel some of your side body muscles on one side a little more active or crampy, and that's bilateral asymmetry. We're going to work on that. That's why we're doing this exercise separately. Left and right side. This is a good lateral or side body muscle activation. Now, tap it, open wide, and add in the tap, raise up, open, and close. So we're circling keeping the rest of the body kind of all in the same spot, not splaying open with that left leg. And plant that right foot down. Bring both knees up and into the chest. Squeeze those legs together, bring the forehead up to meet the knees, and rock and roll up to a seated position. Extend those legs straight out. I'm going to back up a little bit so I'm visible in the camera. With the heels to the edges of the mat. We're going to take our palms onto the butt area, or right beside, I'm sorry. We're going to crowd out the chest or the spinal column.
Fingers facing.
You want to teach?
No, I don't want to help them.
All right. Fingers straight forward. Now, some people have differences in arm length. If you need to lean back a little bit to get the palms on the earth with your arms straight, you can definitely do that. In fact, let's all do that. Let's lean back. Now, bend the elbows slightly, proud of the chest, keep the chest proud as you begin to push with the arms, and see if you can get a little bit of that tush up off the mat, or at least weighted slightly less than what it is. So we've relieved some of the downward pressure. And while we do this now, we're going to begin to walk the fingers open from side to side. So that external rotation in the shoulder now, arms long, pushing strong, a little bit of vibration going on in my body, maybe yours is the same. We're going to try to lift the hips up off the earth by dropping the shoulders, pushing with the arms, and trying to get a little bit of elevation. Chest is proud, correct? Shoulders opening backwards, holding on this for a couple more breaths, and then lower down. Step those hands out in front. Those exterior rotators of the shoulder will thank you now. As you lengthen them out, let the upper back go into flexion. As you inhale, hands walk back in. And come back into seated position. Going to flex the feet. And then wrap them, the base of the hand going over the toes. We're going to take a nice full opportunity to kind of stretch out the plantaris region or the bottom of the foot. That nice little, feels so good. And then when we're done that, release, sweep those legs all the way around and come lie down, face down on the mat. How's that for a smooth transition? All right. I'm going to ask you to step your thighs together. Bring your ankles together. We're going to bring our hands right about shoulder height. Now, if you need cushioning for your head, you can always put a towel, but if you can, I'd like you to keep the neck actively working. So your nose is just literally hovering an inch or two above your mat. Make sure your neck is not compressing and it's nice and long. You're kind of growing it. Crowd out your chest. Let's take your toes about an inch or two off the mat. Squeeze your thighs together. Hold the squeeze. Make sure you're not compressing through the neck. Deep breath in, squeeze harder. Deep breath out, squeeze harder. Do that a couple more times. And then relax the toes back down. Separate the legs, about hip width apart. Keep the head floating. If you need to take a break, you can always do that. But if you can, try to keep it floating. Now, step the legs back together. Thighs squeeze together. Toes lift off the earth. Flex the feet. So you got a big activation in those shin muscles. Squeeze the legs a little harder. Now, take your right hand up off the earth, switch it for the left, and alternate side to side. Once again, we're working these rotator muscles of the spinal column. And then lower down, relax the head, separate the feet. Take a couple of breaths, enjoy life. Let's come back to this. Nose rotates to the earth. Legs step back together. Heels raise an inch or two. Now, One nuance here, I'm gonna ask you to take your elbows and lift them to the sky, but keep your fingertips up on the earth. Squeeze those legs, squeeze them, grow the spinal column, try to lift the chest up off the earth, draw the elbows to the sky, hold on this for a couple breaths. As you release the breath, walk your hands all the way forward. Whew, this back work. So challenging, but just think of how strong your spinal column is going to be from all of this great work you're doing. Much like earlier, we had our grapefruit wrapped fingers wrapping grapefruit type fingers where your tips are touching the earth. We've walked them forward now. While you keep the head floating, I like to take the elbows up off the earth and walk the fingers forward a little more. So you have basically the Addams family going on. You know that hand that used to walk around? That's what you got, like a hand on each arm, walking forward, pulling and lengthening those strong lats of yours, keeping the neck long. Push your fingertips into the earth, crowd out the chest, try to extend the spine, walk the hands forward just fractionally more if you can get it. This is very intense with the upper body. Feel those lats pulling, big lengthening motion here. Fingertips pushing to the earth. Take a deep breath in, and as you release it, let everything relax. Sweep those arms back down. Turn your head to the side. Great job, everybody. Very good. All right. Bring the hands back under the shoulders. Push up onto all fours. Woo, what's going on here, folks? Now, going to keep the knees about slightly wider than hip width. Same thing with your hands, slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Take your fingers and aim them away from the center line, almost like your thumbs aim straight forward, fingers are kind of angling out. So you have a nice wide base. You're going to rotate the elbows internally, and you should have the hands or palms far enough out where when you rotate your elbows in, you can let the upper body descend in between your arms. Find that nice spot. And once it kind of falls in there, I'd like you to pull your belly up and into your spine. So this is kind of like pelvic tucking, if you will. So the low back's beginning to go more or grow longer. Begin to flex the spinal column. Let the head descend towards the earth. Hollow out your belly. Keep those arms nice and straight. While you have the spine in a high degree of flexion, I'd like you to drift your hips backwards towards your heels, keeping the arms straight. Push backwards, but resist with that push or against it. Hold the spinal column in flexion as you drift back forward. Let the chest drop in between the arms. Let the head fall. Flex that spinal column. Hollow out the belly. Drift the hips backwards. Push back with the arms and resist with the rest of the muscles of the body. Float it back forward. Let the chest drop. Head drops. Spine to flexion. Hips drift backwards as you hollow out the bellies. Push backwards with the arms. It's not a big push, it's just a minor thing. Float it back forward. Hands step straight forward, fingers aiming forward, of course. Chest lowers in between the arms, elbows spiral in, and raise and lower the torso as we mobilize through our shoulders. It's the main joint and the only joint I want you to try to work. So the elbows, wrists are all mobile, they're not moving. The only thing moving is your torso up and down in between your arms. Rep it out, up and down. So internal, external rotation of your shoulder blades. This is all good. Getting tired, that's good. This is good exercise for them. Now, hold in the down position. Your torso is in between the arms. Take the right hand, reach it forward. Straighten out the arm. Switch it for the left. Once again, we're practicing rotational stabilization. The buzzword for the day. rotational stabilization. All right. And then both hands return to the earth. Take your feet, step them up in between your hands. You're folded, enjoy it for a second. Straighten out the legs, let the upper body descend to the earth. Just let that head hang out. Bring hand to opposite elbow. Push the ball of each big toe to the mat. Step your palms onto the shins. Balance the weight in the feet. Back to tabletop. Palms keep that push into the shin. Both knees bend. Spine's long as the arms sweep forward, palms rotate to face. If your knees are splayed open, keep the ball of each big toe driving to the mat. See if you can get a little lower, and then slowly stand and salute. Lower the arms, lower those hips, get some depth, right? Stand back up, reach for the stars, lower back down. Try to keep your knees tracking with your toes so you're not opening and closing through the range of motion. Straight forward, try to rotate the heels externally as you come down this time. Keep that external rotation. Reach for the stars. As you come down this time, try to chopsticks, pull those legs together, lower, and raise back up. Inhale, extend. Exhale, take it down to the mat. We've got a couple stretches to finish it off. What's that?
Be quick stretches.
Quick stretches. So bossy. All right, figure four. Left foot plants on the earth, right by your butt, right foot on top of the thigh. Keeping a 90-degree bend in that left knee. Wrap that hamstring with your left and right hand and gently pull the left leg in towards your body. You can rock from side to side too, just to kind of massage the spinal column. Let those rotator muscles get a little bit of reprieve. And then let's lower the left, switch it up for the right. Stretching is a good opportunity to explore a range of motion. A lot of times people arrive at a certain spot in their stretch and they just kind of, oh, I'm good here. You can, little nuances make a big difference in overall joint mobility. And I'm basically saying if you try to pull in just a little more, you kind of get a little bit better mobility. Rock it from side to side. On the rock, extend the legs all the way out. Point the toes, sweep those arms backwards. Use your fingers to pull one direction and use your toes to pull the opposite direction. Pull for as much length as you can. Fill those lungs of yours with air. As you exhale, bring the hands back over chest, drop the chin into the chest, and Pilates style, bring it all the way back up. Dive it down for a nice stretch through that low back. Inhale, extend. Hands walk back in. Are we done?
You think you're out of time? Oh my God, 30 seconds.
Oh, we have, oh my goodness. All right, now nice seated position. We're gonna bring hands, gonna frame that right leg. We're gonna walk it down for an individual stretch on this side. Try to keep that left side from lifting up. Shoulders square to that right leg. Let the upper body flex and enjoy. As you inhale, extend and walk it back in. Switch up sides. Walk it out. Let the upper body flex it down. Inhale, extend. Walk it back in. Let's bring hands over heart now, so I can thank you for joining us today. Have a nice day.
Job.
Good morning.